Hello, welcome back to the L1 show. Today's February 15th, and we are doing business and social stories for your enjoyment.
Krista, please give our audience what would be the best course of action if you completely forgot about Valentine's Day.
Apologize and offer to take them out that next weekend, which is probably better anyway.
Yeah.
Never go out the weekend of Valentine's Day.
Well, I think you just hit on it by accident. Say that I know you hate crowds.
Right.
So surprise, you thought I forgot, but I got reservations for next week.
That's better. It's way better.
Dishonesty is always best.
Yes,
in a
absolutely.
relationship.
Well, I'm just saying, not being around 1,000 people, always better.
I bet it's a delicious meal of beans and rice.
Dishonesty is always best when you're in a relationship and also when you're the CEO of a giant tech company.
Meta is flattening its workforce and telling high-level managers to transition to a new role or get out. As Mark Zuckerberg Mark Zuckerberg leans into his year of efficiency.
Year of efficiency sounds like marketing speak for year of famine.
Can you imagine? Think about this, right? You are a programmer.
Righto.
And you've got a manager, a meta manager who's been making really bad decisions and making your life miserable. And then you show up on one Monday and the manager's like, hey, I'm one of you guys now. I'm a programmer. Let's get started. Think about that.
I think you would probably immediately go somewhere else, except for, all the major alphabet companies have had like 10,000 layoffs.
Right.
All of them. And didn't Facebook announce that they were going to try to shed like 6,000 or 7,000?
Well, the red bar.
Ooh.
Breaking news, chat. Breaking news. This has happened since we've been sitting here.
U.S. shoots down second high altitude object. By the time that this comes out, they're going to know what it is. We don't know what it is right now, though.
But that's not the headline we were going to do. We're going to do this headline about Zoom. It's not nearly as exciting.
Zoom to lay off 1,300 employees, or about 15% of its workforce. Remember in the early days of the thing when suddenly Zoom was like 4 billion% larger than it was the day before?
Turns out people don't need it anymore. And there's lots more alternatives that are better.
Teams is not one of them.
Teams is hot garbage.
They're making Teams so much worse.
Yeah.
My messages sometimes don't go through. Sometimes they do. Sometimes you get a message. Sometimes you don't.
I don't understand how they've made glorified IRC so slow and buggy.
Yeah, it's awful. Mine changed randomly to light mode the other night. I was like, okay, I'm blinded now. Thank you.
Are you going to have to pay the corporate upgrade?
I don't know. Maybe.
Ugh. Well, that's not the only company that did pretty well over the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden, things took a real big downturn.
Bob Iger announces 7,000 job cuts at Disney. It signals a significant transformation. Now, spoiler alert, when you read into this didn't really need to happen. Disney is just taking advantage of the situation because they profits weren't down. They weren't really on the struggle bus. It wasn't completely terrible, but they do want to trim the fat and be more profitable.
But if you recall, when they were going to start their streaming service, they decided to kind of go scorched earth. They bought up everything they could get their hands on.
They put it all in the Disney vault.
No, they did. They stuffed that Disney vault and they set their price super low to try to pull in the subscribers. It worked, but at what cost?
Disney considering selling films and TV shows to rival outlets. As the authors of books in the Star Wars franchise can attest, that doesn't really mean anything.
That's more renting the films and TV shows.
Yeah, isn't this like a dwarven thing? It's like the dwarfs make you some armor, but then when you die, you're supposed to give it back, and people don't understand that, and it's a source of friction.
I don't think they're waiting for anybody to die.
Yeah. As the Disney Star Wars authors can attest, it's like, they haven't paid my royalties in 10 years.
And some more names. This is the collapse section, if that wasn't already obvious. And one after the other, every big tech company is reporting bad news.
eBay will cut 4% of its workforce as sales decline, which is surprising because usually used marketplaces explode in times of economic.
Oh, love Marketplace, Craigslist.
So I guess eBay's losing out there because it's too onerous for both sellers and buyers.
I don't ever look at eBay.
Yeah.
For this headline, I'm surprised this number is as small as it is. Because what do they have to offer anymore?
Yahoo to lay off more than 20% of its staff as it shrinks its ad business.
Does it still own Tumblr?
Does Yahoo even have an AI at this point?
20% of its workforce. So it's going to be down to 4 people.
And your precious version control, no matter who you choose, they're all failing.
GitLab to cut 7% of its workforce, or about 130 people, sending its shares down. Oh,
And
I'm sorry, GitLab.
Right after that,
GitHub lays 10% off and goes fully remote. That's a pretty big cost savings. It's like, we don't have offices anymore. You just got to get it done.
they're literally selling the buildings.
Yeah.
It's like, we're done with that.
Which I'm surprised more places aren't doing, but
Their whole business model would make that possible, right? So it makes sense that they would do that. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, our software literally makes this better. Maybe we should try it. And the biggest names, the ones that have held out the longest, they are not immune.
Dell to slash over 6,000 jobs amid quote unquote uncertain market future. No, this wasn't just sales either. There was a surprising number of cuts across a bunch of departments.
And those companies that were the like infinite banker for the tech companies, that's like, whatever, you got a startup that does mechanical unicorn androids, there's $10 million, just run with it. Well, it turns out that only helps as the line goes up.
SoftBank, the investment company, virtually halts new funding as it contends with persistent losses.
it's almost like just giving people money for vaporware was not a good strategy.
It was WeWork. Remember the office co-working space? It was SoftBank that invested a bunch of money in them, right?
They were deep in the crypto world too.
Yeah, remember when that happened and we reported that, and it was like, SoftBank, don't do that. You're going to lose a bunch of money.
Well, the pandemic happened, and then WeWork suddenly,
And
no one wanted that.
And we were right.
Now this feels like an Onion or a Babylon Bee headline, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But no, this is real.
3 Arrows Capital founders launch exchange where you can trade 3AC bankruptcy claims.
Kill me.
It's turtles all the way down.
Hey, you know that thing that we failed at, and that's the reason that you're suffering? We have a new thing where you can import your suffering and trade it.
This just seems like gambling with extra steps.
Well, you can sell bad debt. So, this is kind of selling bad debt, right? We've monetized the bad debt.
I don't think you should be able to. That's caused us a lot of problems in the past. Remember the mortgage crisis?
We
It
take
will
the good
never
debt
happen again.
and the bad debt, and we just jumble them together so that nobody can ever straighten it out. And then who's going to have the hot potato?
The taxpayers. And we have more and more of the big crypto exchanges are restricting and locking down.
Crypto exchange Binance will suspend U.S. dollar transfers. Aww.
That's only outside the U.S. So if you are not in the U.S., but you still want to transfer in dollars, they're not going to let you do that. It's probably a money laundering type of situation. I'm not sure. And it's time for the big game. Are you guys ready?
It'll have passed, right? Because it's this weekend.
It'll be this weekend, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, don't tell me who won. I care deeply about sport.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen. And honestly, most people, well, I don't know about most people. I'd say most normies, they don't really tune in for the football action. They tune in because it's a cultural event and they want to talk about the commercials. But the commercials might look quite different this year.
For Super Bowl ads this year, crypto is out and booze is in. Oh, man.
Isn't that usually what? I don't know. It's so dystopian that we watch ads for fun.
Last year was like, they called it the Crypto Bowl because the crypto companies snapped up all the advertising. I think it wasn't the Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
like-
that
Yeah.
was.
That's what I was just thinking. Is like, we really need to take Matt Damon in all of his roles and maybe even some deep fakes and put together our own crypto commercial in 2023 with Matt Damon. That's just like the most post-apocalyptic, like his hair's all messed up and he's just like, what have I done?
Why doesn't L1 buy a Super Bowl ad? Oh, we should have done that as a skit. It's
It's,
an L1 Super Bowl ad.
What is it, like 10 million
It's
for 30
there's millions
seconds?
of dollars. Yeah.
I don't know if we could scratch that
We could
together.
single-handedly prop up the entire ad industry. What are you talking about?
We're going to need more patrons.
Just a few more to make that happen.
No, I really want to do something now with like it's not anything we could ever put on YouTube, but just some sort of homage to the Matt Damon crypto mistake.
Please buy.
It could
our
be the
crypt-
stuff of meme legends for just a decade or more. Like, I'm sure that Matt Damon would see it and just be like, "Oh, what have I done?"
We could just deep fake him, right?
I
That's
don't
what they
think-
do now.
I don't think you'd ever see it.
No.
Well, it's been a very, very long time since I've been to a movie theater. I didn't realize that assigned seating was a thing now.
Yeah, you can pick your seat when you go online, and like it used to be that was a thing only on really big theaters like IMAX theaters, but now I guess everyone's doing it.
But that sucks because like you never know if you're going to be able to get this. Like there could be empty seats all over, but then someone's right next to you.
Right.
That's terrible. But AMC looked at that situation and they were like, how can we extract more money from our customers by making their experience more miserable?
AMC is about to make paying for theater seats more like booking an airline ticket.
Ugh.
So it's all about visibility. Up front, that is a low visibility zone. That is your basic tier.
I mean, you can see it, but you're gonna have your neck cricked back the whole time.
And then I guess the prices go up as you go back. And then the middle part, I guess, is the prime zone, right?
Usually, it's been a long time, but I remember doing like ticket booking for an IMAX thing, and you can see like where people have already sat, and almost always the middle section fills up first.
That's the idea. Is you want to be like half the distance of the space between the two primary speakers or something like that, right? For the optimal sound experience.
I kind of like sitting in the very back myself, but I like to sit above everybody else in the theater.
The troublemakers.
Some directors also prescribe what seat you should sit in for their movie. And it's like, I think Spielberg is made for like left of middle and, 3 seats back or something.
That's so pompous.
Specific. Yeah.
What do they say about stealing it and watching it at home?
Ooh. Well, we would never condone stealing and or piracy on this channel.
Well, we got a little update on the Coinbase case. We knew that this was coming, and we knew that the evidence was overwhelming. It seems that this gentleman has accepted that.
Ex-Coinbase manager pleads guilty in insider trading case.
This was where his brother somehow guessed every cryptocurrency that was going to be added to Coinbase.com and front ran them
That's wild.
for short-term trades.
What a lucky guess that was for him.
Amazing. It's like Nancy Pelosi, but better. And Amazon
It's weird how she's not guilty of any of those types of crimes. So.
She would never do that.
None of our
Amazon
Congress critters would.
is opening up some new data centers. And as we know, the power grid, a little unreliable, not just from weather, but now people are shooting it. So what can you do?
Power grid worries force Amazon to run Oregon data centers using fuel cells. It's like if we lose power and it can't be fixed for a while, what do we do? Fuel cells. Those cannot go down. The Amazon availability zone cannot go down.
You might not have power for your house or your heat or anything like that, but don't worry, you can still buy stuff on Amazon.
How much does that suck if you live within eyesight?
You can see it, yeah.
And you're cold, your heat's off, you're freezing, and you see those trucks running 24/7.
Nice warm data centers.
That was one of the hot things. Like the whole internet rallied behind that guy that was loading diesel. There was one guy left in a high-rise building with a data center after Katrina in New Orleans. And the entire internet was following the blog of that guy because he's like, yep, I manually brought up some barrels of diesel from the basement to the generators. And it's like, we're going to keep it running. And he was just keeping the data center running. He was just one guy. When the National Guard was coming in, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, no, I'm supposed to be here. I'm keeping this running.
Do you think that the company took notice and appreciated, or do you think that they probably cut him in the last round of employee cuts?
Yeah, he's gone, I'm sure. Whatever happened to that guy?
He became a diesel loading robot. Wow. Now, this one was updated, and they explained how all the phones are actually just lying about storage anyway, but I think the premise is still sound here. We don't need this.
Bloatware pushes the Galaxy S23 Android OS to an incredible 60 gigabytes updated. It's like, well, okay, there's maybe not as much bloatware as we were saying initially, but it is true that companies like Facebook pay Samsung to preload their app on the phone because people want that.
I think maybe it was someone on the forum, maybe someone on Twitter. Someone said that like TikTok came preloaded on their phone now.
Right.
It's weird too because you can't uninstall it. You can just stop it.
Yeah.
And then it'll restart itself next time you get an update.
You can fix that too, but it's like 2 extra clicks.
It's ridiculous that it's just these things that we're never going to use.
Yeah.
But you get paid. They get paid.
And you could also be that guy that was, you're in the unlucky ones where Facebook is trying to run down your battery to see if anybody notices. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, they did.
And we all know that in the printing world, it's getting to the point where fewer and fewer people need to print things, and things just keep getting worse as they try to extract more and more blood from the people who are left. This one is just astonishing.
The Atlantic has the headline, "My printer is extorting me. Subscriptions to HP's Instant Ink challenge what it means to own our devices." So you can't just buy ink and have a printer. If you don't pay the subscription fee, the printer stops working the moment you stop paying the subscription fee.
This is how everything's going.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just going to be printers. Your fridge might do this eventually.
One guy, with the filters, water filters,
Yeah.
that's how they do it. One guy tweeted, like, he didn't print very much, but he was on the monthly plan, and he had a giant box of print cartridges. And he was like, I have more, this will last me 5 years, if not more, certainly more than the life of the printer. So I canceled, but now I can't use any of these. Oof. How is the FTC doing nothing here?
You agreed to the terms and conditions when you bought the printer, blah, blah, blah. There are some really nice looking open source printers that do things. And at the office, I'm not letting our Lexmark X, I think they're like X568 DTN printers. I'm not letting them die. It's like, I've got all the Chinese clone parts. There's no chip to the toner. They're not terribly fast, but they're not slow. They're 600 DPI. They can't do complex imaging, but they run Linux, really incredibly ancient Linux, like Linux 2.0.36 or something.
But for the very basic printing needs this office has, like, that's probably worth its weight in gold.
They won't die.
Yeah.
Almost nobody needs more than basic printing.
Yeah.
It's just put some words.
They
on
can
a page.
scan and copy. They can do color scanning. Can't do color printing.
Well, if you recall, one of the big features that Apple rolled out on some of its products a while back was detecting you falling down and being dead. And they will dispatch emergency workers or try to get you some kind of help if they think that you've had a bit of a tumble. And it took a while, but that is now proving to be a terrible feature.
My watch thinks I'm dead.
Look at this absolute Chad with all his monitors
That's
around
the
him.
911 operator.
Yeah.
That's a kindred spirit.
He may be watching this program right now.
That's my monitor setup.
So this was at a ski resort, and this guy got the call, and it's like, oh, 911, and he called back. I guess they do a call back, and the guy answered it, and he was like, yeah, this is like the 4th time. I'm skiing. I have some abrupt movements during my skiing. I'm a good skier. I'm not hurt. And it turns out that at the ski resort, these 911 operators had just been inundated the entire week with all these false reports.
And that's terrible too, because skiing and snowboarding, you can't actually have a real accident, and now
And
they're
time
going to
would
be
be
like,
of the essence.
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time to get to you.
wow.
Now, we talked a little bit about the, was it Comcast faking the
Yeah.
map again? And we learned about, like that they had definitely done it. But why would they do it? Well, here's a beautiful little case study. And once again, it's the secret came out because of the stupidity of the ISP.
ISP admits lying to the FCC about the size of its network to block funds that were going to rivals. The ISP gave the FCC false coverage information to prevent others from getting grants.
Name and shame. Who's the ISP?
It's not one you've heard of. It's a smaller one.
We should make sure that they're mentioned.
You summarize and I'll find it.
City of Growells. So this is another one of those things where the ISP provides the FCC a different database than the one that it uses for its actual service database. Smart way communication.
Shamed. Named and shamed.
Wait. That might be the good guy.
Oh.
I don't know. Read the article. Use the link.
That we provide in the one tab.
Oh, Jefferson County Cable.
Was that the name? They should have put it in the headline, but
So
maybe it
what?
didn't fit.
This guy emailed them as a competitor, but they thought he was a consumer. So they admitted to their consumers. I don't know why they would do that. They were like, "Oh yeah, we know that your name is not on that list, or your address is not on that list. But if we didn't pretend that it was, then they would give money to that other company, which is the company this guy runs." So they just outed themselves in an email.
It's like, oh, by the way.
I'm sure the FCC will do nothing.
Yeah, if he was actually just a customer, like, do you have a moment when you read that and you're like, It's kind of messed
Yeah,
up.
even
yeah,
I mean,
like,
you should never admit that to anybody.
Yeah.
That was, I guess that was sort of be like, yeah, we did that, but we have a good reason why. It's like, bro, that's not a good reason. That's one of the worst reasons I've ever
cool
heard.
motive, still a crime.
And Amazon, you know, they're having a tough time. Everybody is, but they finally caught a little bit of a break here.
The FCC approves Amazon's satellite broadband plan over SpaceX's objections. Amazon's going to launch 3,200 satellites.
That's a lot of satellites.
Astronomers everywhere cry a little bit because the night sky just got that much harder to look at.
Musk wanted to limit them to 578. How many does SpaceX have right now?
Probably.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
That's more. Yeah.
Is it tens of thousands? It's an ungodly number.
That's more than 500.
Yeah.
Right.
And the UK Apple workers are following suit for all of the American companies. They're getting together.
UK Apple Store workers have signed their first union contract. And because the UK is not in the EU anymore, Apple's probably going to just shrug this off.
This is, I don't know the brass tacks here. I imagine you're still losing a lot to entropy, but this seems like such a good idea. I
Yeah.
can't believe that it's actually happening. Like this, what a great thing to actually do with our waste.
EV batteries getting a second life on the California power grid.
Excellent.
So if you get a battery pack, you know, your Tesla battery pack, it's not holding a charge anymore. It's not doing very good. It's probably just a couple of subcomponents in the battery pack that are causing problems. You can rip it apart and use it in something like this, where it doesn't matter how much space it takes up. Hell, you could just leave the bad ones in the pack and just solder around them, and it's fine. And that's exactly what California is doing.
And they're hooking up to solar so that when the grid is taxed, it can pull from that.
It doesn't even really matter that it's taking up so much room or that the battery packs only hold a half charge cumulatively. They're not being charged and discharged constantly the way that they would be in a car. And they're not near anything that'll catch on fire.
It's a net positive. What a good, happy story.
I'm sure somebody will legislate against it.
Yeah, or someone in the comments will be like, actually, this other thing happened. And it's like, oh,
You think Elon Musk would be against that?
Yeah.
might not have a
man. Yeah,
reason
just
to.
because of, brand recognition or something.
There'll probably be some weird convoluted deal where he's still responsible for the waste after another 10 years.
Now you added this one?
Yeah.
And this is from January 30. There's a reason I never added it. It's the battery rule.
Yeah, I thought I read this and I was like, this sounds like a nothing burger, but I want to hear what you guys think about it.
But I would love it.
Yeah.
It would be great. Imagine not having fans in your computers anymore.
Yeah, just this
How
stuff.
fantastic would that be?
Hydrogel brings cooling relief to electronics. This gel absorbs moisture from air to cool electronics passively.
Just imagine shoving that in a PC case, like flubber.
So you coat your heatsink with that.
Yeah.
And then that is enough cooling. I probably would not do a 40 series GPU.
You only get 10 minutes of gaming, it's 30 minutes to rest.
But yeah, that would be fantastic. Do you think the conference room seating at Noxua are like, they go to a point because of the puckering?
I don't think they're worried about it. I think they read the article and then they were
This isn't great yet.
Yeah, that's like the magic batteries. Keep making fans.
But maybe in like 5 or 10 years, it'll be a thing. We'll
And
be doing videos about it on this channel.
it seems like as people get laid off, they're not as able to negotiate, and that's maybe why we're getting all the unionization and stuff. But there is one aspect that tech workers will draw the line at, it seems.
YouTube contractors to strike over forced return to the office. So does that mean that the crypto scammer comments aren't going away anytime soon?
Oh, yeah.
These
You've
guys-
won. You haven't won. We're never going to contact you over a YouTube comment.
These guys were hired during the situation, so they've never been in an office. They were hired as remote workers, but then YouTube was like, nah, we're all going back.
Maybe you're going back. We're not.
And the Microsoft Store, everybody hates that, right?
Oh,
I mean, when it comes to app stores,
it's so bad.
it's solidly at the rear of the pack.
I don't think anybody at Microsoft is actually using the store for anything. It's like, oh, this is a convenient way to install applications. Have you used it? It's not. No.
It's terrible, but they took a look at it and they said, you know what? There's room to make this worse.
The newest feature in the Microsoft Store is more ads. The App Store ads on other platforms offer many benefits to devs, but few for users.
So you look up an app and here's all these ads instead. Great.
I did a video on how bad the start menu was, and by extension the Microsoft Store, in November of 2021. And I was revisiting some of the stuff with that. Just search for Firefox on the Microsoft App Store. Just search for Firefox. You reasonably install the Firefox browser and not have 17 links for scams.
You got to go to the domain. You gotta
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
get firefox.com. You cannot trust
Yeah.
any search results.
It is horrifying. And like Mozilla probably doesn't even care. Like Mozilla is like, there's not enough people using the App Store that we need to complain about guide for Firefox.
There's not enough people using Firefox.
I use Firefox.
We really need Firefox to survive and do well. We can't have this Chrome hegemony.
I use it too, but its market share is almost
Small.
non-existent.
Yeah.
Well, we've been following the Netflix password sharing saga, and it turns out they rolled it out in, was it
Canada.
Europe? Oh, Canada, right.
Canada.
But not the U.S. They're still a little gun shy about how the U.S. customers, but just like the Chinese, they may have floated a little trial balloon.
Netflix says the strict new password sharing rules were posted in error. Well, I've almost got my Jellyfin server set up for mom, so yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to be looking to not use Netflix anymore.
Does the Internet Archive have TV shows like Green Acres? Can I just mirror them somehow?
Amazon Prime's got a lot of that.
I wonder if I can. I need to see if there's a utility to mirror that stuff off Amazon Prime. I would totally subscribe to Amazon Prime for a few months to mirror those ancient TV shows.
You're not a Prime customer?
No, I mean, well, no, I guess I am. Yeah, I didn't. Even,
Good luck explaining your mom.
I've never looked at Amazon Prime for the videos.
I mean, it's second tier stuff, but if you like that older stuff,
She will. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing with Amazon Prime too, at least with some of their stuff, is like you have to have a secondary subscription to get some of it, which is annoying. Or you have to rent it.
yeah, the rental stuff. But
Yeah.
there is you can filter just to only included with Prime. So, and Activision, boy, they are having a tough couple of years. Nothing is going their way. It doesn't look like their Microsoft merger is going to happen, and their bad behavior leading up to that seems to have burned every other bridge.
Activision CEO Bobby Kotick says that Sony won't return our phone calls.
I've been calling and calling, babe, pick up, babe.
I think that's probably a blessing rather than a curse, because Sony's not exactly like super amazing either.
Yeah, but you need them to run your games on their console.
Nah.
You want to have an open line of communication there. And when it comes to search, it seems like it's all going to be AI at this point, right? But there is some more traditional searching still being developed.
GitHub claims source code search engine is a game changer. grep isn't good enough. Try Blackbird.
It's a really fast way to search all that code.
Why Blackbird?
Maybe they're a big Beatles fan.
Or they were playing. That was one of the really awesome cards in Inscription.
I bet that's it.
Yeah, that
Wait.
little tiny game.
Let's see. Most popular rock band to ever exist or indie deck builder? Got to be the second one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for a dev team, that's maybe not the craziest thing in the world.
Oh, I should have sorted this one differently.
Oops.
Netflix's password sharing crackdown hits Canada, but not the U.S. yet. So Netflix's definition of a household is sort of interesting, and not going to work out for. There are older people that live in an RV, and it would seem that doesn't really count. Although I think that the rollout in Canada is also misunderstood. I think that somebody inside Netflix wanted you to just constantly log in and out of your account, so that only one login would be active at a time per IP address, which would maybe work for the elderly RVers. But you couldn't have two accounts logged in at the same time from different locations, which is weird because if, I don't know, you and your spouse want to watch two different Netflix shows at the same time, that's one of the more expensive tiers on Amazon. Or like if your kids are watching something and you're watching something and your spouse is watching something, I think you pay extra for that versus like just the one stream. But you can't do that from more than one physical location, which is bananas.
And you have to reestablish that every so often.
Yeah.
If you want to go to a different location.
What if your kids are watching theirs on like their mobile phone or something?
you tell them to stop.
Yeah, because they're burning all their data, I guess. Yeah.
This was clearly, I dragged one tab one too far. And it was a catastrophe because we had a perfect sort with those two together and then these two Activisions together.
Whoops.
And it's totally broken.
Microsoft's Activision deal hurts gamers, UK watchdog says.
Anybody with half a brain would see that, but
Oh, well, this was UK government. So
Yeah.
exactly half a brain.
Do we? Is the story about Bing, the Bing thing next? Because I have a perfect transition.
That might be AI.
That's fine.
Well, this is another Microsoft story. And this is what we were talking about. Oh, there's a
there's an
fire.
emergency. Yeah.
They're letting us know that things are really terrible and that the merger talk is all on fire.
The fire is at Microsoft. And it's the Teams software.
Microsoft will wipe free Teams business users' data if they don't upgrade to a paid tier. Oh, didn't see that one coming. It's fine.
You'd be better off without it.
It's like
Yeah.
they want kind of a lot for it too, like $13 a month. $13 a month
For that buggy piece of crap.
We had better see the speed and the bugs fixed immediately.
No. They don't consider those bugs. Those are just fun little quirks. And it seems that more and more people are chipping away at Apple's rule. It does seem like the antitrust stuff is coming. Will that destroy the walled garden? And when the walled garden is gone, will then the browser itself fall?
Mozilla, like Google, is looking ahead to the end of Apple's WebKit rule.
Please.
We've talked about this, or we've mentioned this a couple of times over the last 6 months, and a lot of people are always surprised to learn that when you have a web browser on iOS, it's just a skin, it's a wrapping of Safari. You can't actually deploy your own rendering engine because Apple is that handsy with their platform. And that may be coming to an end, and so Mozilla is working on their own rendering engine for iOS, as Google has been as well, that works on jailbroken devices.
And Google, I'd say probably about once a quarter, Google has a big high-level meeting and they pose the question, how could we censor more?
Google will soon blur explicit images by default in search results. That could be violent or porn or gory images, and it could be disabled by anybody who doesn't have a supervised account.
Could be something posted by Seymour Hersh.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. Is
What do they choose?
All
Yeah.
of the suppression of the stuff from him.
I assume, well, like the way Google search now works is you can change it so it's like filter out explicit material by default. But like, I don't think that's checked like when you set it up initially. And if you're not logged in, obviously.
And here's a rare feel-good story.
Yeah.
There's nobody more deserving in the gaming world. I mean, when you look at like total hours of enjoyment by a product, this has got to be one of the all-time highs.
After 16 years of freeware, Dwarf Fortress creators get their $7 million payday. The quote was, "When we pass from this world, you will be the reason that we are remembered." It really is a lot of fun.
And the best part about it, even with all that success, and obviously there'll be more going forward, they'll make more and more money from this, you can still get the free version. Absolute
A devoted
champions.
fan base around.
But you can get the
Dwarf
tile
Fortress.
version on Steam, although I don't play it as much as you, but I think the Steam version, did they get the jank out of it? Because it wasn't super awesome.
I didn't like the tile version. I found that the clicks didn't always register and it drove me crazy.
I'm more than happy to give them the money though.
I bought it.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that. It was like $25.
Yeah.
The number of hours I put in that game, that's probably about 2 cents an hour, maybe less. And Oracle, when it comes to like bad subscription models, I don't know if we've ever seen one worse than this. I mean, think about Netflix. Netflix is doing some nasty stuff, but they're not even close to this.
Oracle partners on Java price changes. This doesn't make sense. So these are the companies that are partnered with Oracle, and Oracle's like, hey, we got some changes coming to the way that we price out Java, and it doesn't make sense because no one wants to work on Java, and everybody was really worried with Oracle driving the car that they would do something dangerous as they keep looking at you and grinning that sort of toothy grin as opposed to keeping an eye on the road and driving the car. So here it is.
They're looking at you while they're driving and they're not blinking at all. That's
Yeah. What's that? Gary Busey? They're doing a Gary Busey while they're driving. He's just smiling at you. He's not looking at the road. That's Oracle with Java.
Makes me feel uncomfy.
So they will offer, you can keep the old one if you still have it. I don't know if you can start a new subscription for the old one, but the new way they're doing it is it's not based on the number of people who are going to be using Java. It's based on the number of people in your organization. Doesn't matter if they're going to be working on that product. They still count. Which doesn't make a lot of sense.
Never been a better time to move to Python, Rust, Go, other languages.
I skipped that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go back.
And Steam is the king of the DRM game services, but everybody else tried to do their own thing. They were all terrible. And eventually they started to kind of give up, but it doesn't seem like they can give up completely.
Ubisoft's launcher broke Steam games on Linux and Steam Deck. Because yes, we need a launcher to launch when we launch our launcher from our launcher.
I hate all of these launchers.
It's terrible.
Guess what doesn't work on the Steam Deck?
Disgusting. And remember the glorious old days when the most we had to worry about was CPU security flaws?
Oh, dang it. I brought my Steam Deck, so I for the transition for this was going to be, but look what does work on the Steam Deck. And I was going to hold up running Metroid Prime Remaster, which is not supposed to be there. You'll just have to use your imagination, chat. Sorry. Continue. My bad.
Yes, we had CPU vulnerabilities, and it was like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Little did we know there was so much further to fall. But now, if you're tired of all the things that we did to make them slower and worse in order to not have those security problems, and you just want to let it all hang out, maybe you can.
Proposed Linux patch would allow disabling CPU security mitigations at build time. Because you're tired of it all and you just want your performance back. It's like, this is my game machine. I don't even care.
It's risky.
It is interesting. There are some significant performance differences with things like memory allocation between the distros now, between like Ubuntu and like say Arch or Manjaro. And it's some of it is down to mitigations and some of it is down to pre-allocating memory. Some of it's down to compression. Some of it is down to kernel same page merging plus, interacting with the security mitigation. So it's really, there are compound unexpected behaviors from the interaction of those things.
And what Tesla has introduced to the world and normalized and introduced this fresh new hell is software updates that radically change your car. Literally, they could just like take away features.
Yeah, software updates in general for a vehicle that doesn't need them to do its purpose.
And they did the one thing to fix the batteries, which took down a huge range off of cars. And it's just like one day you got this range, the next day you get in it. Oh, there's been a software update. All the other car companies love it.
BMW owner discovers his car's software update won't install when parked on an incline.
Because apparently there's some risk that software could
turn off your
shift the
e-brake.
gear.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Also, what if like you live on a big hill and there's no flat spot?
You're gonna have to go to the Walmart parking lot and then
just wait for your software update. Yeah.
How cool would it be if Buc-ee's could pay for everybody to have a software update? It's like, oh, to get this software update, you're gonna have to drive to your local Buc-ee's, and then it just comes over the side of the lot. It's like,
It'll
why
be
did
an
I have to go?
advertising opportunity.
Yeah, it's like, why did I have to go to Buc-ee's? It's like, this software update brought to you by Buc-ee's.
Please scan your empty burrito wrapper.
I'll give you the ad dystopian future as you approach Buc-ee's on the interstate.
You need a software update.
Their ad campaign is they turn on the heated seat for you. So as you approach Buc-ee's, it's like, oh, this feature is unlocked in your car. But if you don't stop at Buc-ee's, it turns it off.
But it's 90-degree weather.
Or it goes into the software that's now installed in your body, your Neuralink, and it gets the measurement from your colon. And it's like, oh, 70% full. There's a Buc-ee's up here.
That's weird. I'm getting a mild electric shock.
On your retina.
Why am I getting a mild electric shock? Oh, it's because I need to stop at Buc-ee's, right? Yeah, my bad.
I say if, but maybe it will just happen and there's nothing I can do about it. But You might just see me disappear. Like I can't live in a society like that.
But you can't disappear.
No.
There is no place you can go and be away from it.
Yeah, they'll just commit you. It's like, I would like to live off the grid. Great. Into the loony bin with you.
All right. On that note, we'll see you guys on Friday.